morning, Nigeria, and welcome to Daybreak, reaching you live from the nation's capital in Abuja. My name is Ayuba Ilya. Of course, as always, I'm not alone in the studio.
Good morning, and thank you for joining us this morning. My name is Stella Iyachi.
Well, this is the very show where we bring you up to speed with what's happening in the country. At the moment, it looks like we have a whole lot going on. I mean, it's either...
Ayuba, do you have a form? Because that is the issue. I mean, that is the rave right now. You have to have a form, right?
Yeah, right. That's it. But
almost everybody is picking up forms, or they are getting people to pick for them, or people are just buying and begging
even people
them.
that have not declared intention to run
Yes,
for the
and people are buying and begging them to run. So is anybody buying and begging you to run?
Well,
I wish somebody would buy and beg me to run, actually.
Maybe somebody is actually
planning.
Maybe someone has even bought without me even knowing. Maybe. So,
or maybe they are planning to approach you with the form and beg you, please.
Yes, so as far as I know for now, nobody has confirmed to me or reached out to me that they've gotten the form. Perhaps they did in some corner somewhere.
Yes.
You know, so let's
and then when they
that.
bring it to you, you now say, okay, let me start consultation.
Yes.
That's the because that's all we are hearing.
That's the new trend, you know,
that's
unfortunately. And, you know, funny as all of this is, you know, seem like we are dealing with more serious issues, you know, in the country that no one seems to care.
Nobody
really
seems to care.
I mean,
only yesterday, ASU extended its strike by another 3 months. And all we are talking about is who is buying form for somebody or who is begging somebody to run, you know.
And let's not forget the few queues that have resurfaced in
Abuja
and
the cities around
the country.
Yes.
You know, so it's sad. Quite
and the insecurity is still there.
Still there.
Those abducted along the Abuja-Kaduna rail track are still in captivity.
And all of this is still happening. That's why a lot of Nigerians, you know, sometimes feel like, look, it's not worth it. You know, the lack of trust between politicians and the majority of Nigerians, you know, will just continue to deepen because these are the opportunities for politicians to actually
But do you know what saddens me about all of this? Do you know what saddens me about all of this? Is the fact that we have an opportunity now to say, okay, what do we do next? How do we select the next crop of leaders? And then the thing is turning into a joke. Everybody is, they've bought a form for me, let me consult. Well, people are begging me to run and all of that. You know, leadership is supposed to be a deliberate process. It's supposed to be something that you, Ayuba, will say, okay, in the next 4 years, I want to run. And these are the things I want to do. Not on the eve of the election, people are begging you for a form, and then you're thinking, should I collect, or, you know?
Well, I hope that politicians and political parties do not forget about the deadlines and the timelines that INEC is working with. In less than a month, we're expected to see nominees from the various political parties.
Exactly.
And so we'll get to see how all of that will pan out. For now, let's take a look at the headlines this morning. Lawan joins presidential race. He picks nomination forms.
Barrow drops governorship ambition to face Ganduje for Senate seat.
Public schools in Sokoto, Zamfara, yet to present candidates for WAEC, and that's according to the examination body. Let's take a look at the details. Former President Goodluck Jonathan has picked the expression of interest and nomination forms to contest the 2023 presidential election in the platform, under the platform of the All Progressive Congress. That's an information that has been denied by the former president. A northern group actually picked the forms on behalf of the of Jonathan at the International Conference Center in Abuja. Jonathan, you know, is yet to well, he has denied that allegation, and that we also have information that the Senate President Ahmed Lawan has declared his intention to contest the 2023 presidential election on the platform of the All Progressive Congress. Lawan made the declaration on Monday in Abuja while receiving the 100 million naira APC nomination and expression of interest forms presented to him by a political group, National Stability Project, led by Chief Sam Nkire. The Senate President said that he had listened to various calls countrywide asking him to contest the office of the President, and that he was ready to commit to the calls.
Now, public schools in Sokoto and Zamfara states are yet to officially present any candidate for the West African Senior School Certificate Examination, WASC. For schools, candidates scheduled to hold from May 16 to June 23. The head of the Nigeria National Office of the West Africa Examination Council, WAEC, Mr. Patrick Aregan, revealed that private schools in the state had registered their candidates for the examination. He noted that the reason why candidates from public schools were not registered remains unknown. According to him, over 1.6 million candidates from 20,221 schools have registered for the examination, out of which about 800,000, which is 49.76%, are males, while 800,724, representing 50.24%, are females.
All right. We have also the chairman of the Senate Committee on Appropriations, Senator Barrow Jibrin, has dropped his governorship ambition and picked forms for the senatorial election. Barrow will be challenging Governor Abdullahi Umar Ganduje, whom the party stakeholders endorsed for the seat. The current senator representing Kano North Senatorial District, who was one of the leading governorship aspirants in Kano State, dropped his ambition 24 hours after Ganduje anointed his deputy as the consensus candidate of the party. The lawmaker has confirmed that he has picked the forms to return to the Red Chamber. All right. Now, let's take a look at some more stories, this time around packaged. The Center of Excellence for Sickle Cell Disease Research and Training in the University of Abuja Teaching Hospital has called on mothers to ensure regular visits to health facilities as a way of combating sickle cell disease in the newborns. The center made the call at a training workshop it organized for health workers and mothers on newborn sickle cell disease intervention in collaboration with the National Primary Healthcare Development Agency. Trust TV's Aisha Salihu was at the workshop and she put this together. Take a look.
The training, which drew participation from health workers across primary healthcare centers in the area councils of the Federal Capital Territory, is part of efforts geared towards combating the rising number of the sickle cell disease in newborns. It is also in continuation of a 2020 launch of the Pediatric Sickle Cell Disease Program between the National Primary Healthcare Development Agency and Center of Excellence for Sickle Cell Disease Research and Training at the hospital, where health workers from 20 primary healthcare centers were trained.
Basically, one of the aspects of what we do in this sickle cell program is to ensure adequate training, in terms of manpower development. You can't go too far if the people who you're using in a project are not properly trained and do not follow the protocols as regards that project. So basically, from time to time, we get to train the people who are at the field, who are doing the blood collection, who are talking with the patients at that level. So today's program is one of those ones in which we are training people from the 20 FCT primary health centers that are part of the newborn screening program for sickle cell disease.
We have a free genotype test, a screening test for newborn babies in the FCT in 20 primary healthcare centers. We have identified 52 babies with sickle cell disease, but these some of the parents have not come to enroll the babies in the pediatric sickle cell program.
Experts at the capacity building workshop trained the participating health workers in collection procedures as well as testing and storage of blood samples during genotype testing, while mothers of newborns were encouraged to take advantage of the free services rendered at the clinic.
Well, I am in the clinic, the pediatric clinic, and apart from newborn screening, we take care of the regular patients, sickle cell patients from birth to 18 and above.
Deployment of new techniques aimed at early detection, counseling, comprehensive care through vaccination and treatment to better manage the sickle cell disease condition in newborns are tailored towards preventing child mortality from complications. Aisha Salihu, Trust TV News, Abuja.
Thank you, Aisha, for that report. Now we'll look at another report. Motorists have called on the federal government to find a lasting solution as fuel scarcity surfaced again in the Federal Capital Territory and neighboring states. Trust TV's Kabir Lawa was at some filling stations to hear from consumers that spent hours waiting to buy the commodity. Take a look at the report.
There is indication that the scarcity of petroleum product has resurfaced again. Motorists are seen in long queues trying to buy the product, which is proving difficult. More so, the impact of the scarcity is especially felt by commuters who pay high price to be transported from one place to another.
To me, this is totally unacceptable, but the fact that we don't even know what caused the scarcity, where the scarcity is coming from until now, we don't even know. How can someone wake up in the morning, driving to work, all of a sudden discovers that there's hold up everywhere in all the filling stations, even most filling stations that have fuel are not selling? That I do not know until now, but I'm sure, I'm very, very convinced that a whole lot of filling stations here in Abuja have fuel.
Traffic gridlocks appeared across major parts of Abuja as many service lanes were closed to traffic due to queues from the petroleum stations. Consumers of the product told Trust Television that they left their various houses in the early hours to queue up at the filling station to get the commodity, but to no avail as they are still in the queue waiting for their turn. Some consumers further revealed that they had to tip fuel attendants to be able to buy the product.
I feel very bad because what we are suffering in Nigeria because of fuel subsidy is very bad. We are really suffering a lot. To get a fuel for your working or what you are using a fuel for is very expensive for us in Nigeria. Whether is the citizen of Nigeria and whether is we don't have anything and we are the ones suffering most in Nigeria. It's very bad. We can't continue this. This country needs to be changed. We need to change. We need changing in the country because the country is really going very bad situation that we, the poor ones, cannot even get anything. I come here selling in the morning, around 6 o'clock in the morning. This is now I'm going back. Even before I go back, I paid bribe before they give me this fuel.
It's shocking to me that I just woke up yesterday evening to discover that we're experiencing scarcity. I don't know where it's coming from, but I think something really fast needs to be done.
They said this fuel scarcity will affect food prices in the market as transporting these food items is also expensive.
Most people slept here overnight and they are still not happy, and everybody have been talking their ordeal about the fuel scarcity presently going on in Abuja. In Abuja, Kabir Lawal, Trust TV News.
Well, there you have it, what Nigerians are experiencing at the moment. You know, Stella, I was thinking that, you know, it started like a joke, you know, from Saturday through Sunday. When I'm driving around, I see queues, and I'm like, okay, maybe it's one of those things, you know, the queues.
I was surprised that it came back so quickly. It's not long ago that we had that long fuel scarcity thing, so I didn't expect another one to resurface so quickly.
So sudden, too, that, you know, all of a sudden you just wake up, you go to the filling station looking to buy fuel, and then you find that there is none. And you know, the filling stations are shut. And
the fact is that nobody's actually telling you exactly what could be wrong, because that explanation by the government that is because not a lot is being taken out of the depots, and that because the holidays just ended and all. I really don't understand why that is.
That is not.
And then another part of the explanation was that people are buying more than they need, and I'm wondering, will people really buy more than they need?
Exactly. I mean, this is not just like any other commodity.
Yes, where would they keep it?
About how do you keep fuel for such a long time?
And then there's this new trend, if you notice that the fuel scarcity these days starts around the Federal Capital Territory and the states around it. So I'm wondering what exactly is going on, because at this point there's fuel in the south.
For me personally, I think that there's some kind of conspiracy around this. Maybe there's some kind of, deliberate attempt to.
Maybe the trucks are refusing to come down to the north.
Yeah, between the oil marketers and the suppliers and all of that, there's probably some kind of hanky-panky going on somewhere. They are using Nigerians
whatever
to play some kind of chess or something.
Whatever it is, I just hope we don't go back to what we experienced just barely 2 months ago. I just hope we don't get there again.
I hope so.
Because it will be too soon. No, it's not looking good at all. Yesterday, I saw lots of people by the roadside waiting for transportation, and it's all because of the lack of fuel.
A lot of people stranded, really. And how can an economy perform, without
so much man hours wasted on the road? Because these are people that should be elsewhere working, but they're on the roads.
So we hope that the authorities will wade into this as soon as possible to address this issue, because definitely we've had it quite a lot of times happening. Now we'll take a short breather, and then when we come back, we'll take a look at the front pages of our newspapers and see what's happening there.
Not necessarily tribal or regional.
All right, thank you for staying. And if you're just joining, you're watching Daybreak, reaching you live from the nation's capital here in Abuja. Let's take a look at the papers this morning and the stories on the front pages there. On Daily Trust, for instance, you see the lead story is political. It says, confusion as Jonathan rejects APC presidential forms. The writer says a joint ruling party in 2021. Northern governors paid for forms. Mieti Allah denies involvement. Ex-president did not authorize purchase. And that's according to the spokesman of the former president, Goodluck Jonathan. Silva Ayade Lawan picks forms. Court declines Emefiele's request, summons INEC and AGF. You'll find the details of all of that on page 5 and page 11. Now, above the masthead, no, rather below the masthead, you'd see Sokoto Zamfara government schools. Okay, Sokoto Zamfara government schools not registered for SSCE, and that's according to WAEC. Aviation fuel, airline operators to get 3 months supply at 480 naira, according to the NNPC. Recall that the airline operators had initially threatened to embark on an industrial action, but quickly, I believe that there was some kind of negotiation.
In fact, the House of Representatives, remember, they even issued out a notice calling for an emergency meeting that was supposed to hold on Monday. But later on Sunday, they said they were able to reach some kind of agreement with the aviation workers, and that was why the emergency session for Monday did not hold. So there was that intervention.
I believe that this is the agreement that the NNPC will be supplying aviation fuel to airline operators for 3 months at the cost of 400.
What happens after 3 months, though?
18 naira. Well, we'll get to see.
We'll because the stopgap approach may not just, maybe while the stopgap approach is there, it's important for them to look at the long haul, what's going to happen, because if after 3 months you stop the 480, stop giving them the product at 480, what happens?
And guess what? These airline operators knows just when to strike, isn't it? Look at the politics that is happening now. After all, the political elites will be needing airplanes to fly around
I was
the country,
so sure. I was so sure they were not going to shut down the airspace, because I was like, the political elite will not let that happen. This is their time. They need to travel from Lagos to Abuja. They need to go to Abuja to Lagos. They need to go around.
Yeah,
exactly. Yes, and I wish that's the kind of sweetness with which every other issue.
And crashing the price
handled.
from
it was 700 as at Sunday, yes,
and now 480. In the next 3 months. Well, that's
you just
quite
wonder. You just wonder why certain issues are given more priority than others. Is it because it affects? Is it because certain people are affected when?
And I wish that happens to other sectors.
To every other issue.
Education. I mean, we are talking about. Look at below the pictorial now, for instance. Students threaten showdown as ASU extends strike by 3 months. So
and that is
3 months has gone already.
3 months has gone, and
they
then
are now declaring that another
that will be
3
6 months in an academic year. I mean,
you could see where that is. Now, talking about other stories at the very bottom there. Man rapes Facebook friend, threatens to release nude pictures. What a blackmail. NATO demands compensation for truck burnt in Anambra. Abuja Kaduna train attack. Victims' families seek negotiation with terrorists. Now, to the big story, the story about Goodluck Jonathan. A lot of people didn't see this coming. Or rather, I would say it has always been like a rumor.
With the rumor that has been going on for the past 1 month.
And only for us to see people, having such confidence to go as far as purchasing form to candidate. Well, it's Goodluck Jonathan and APC member.
Exactly. There are so many issues here, because even if Goodluck Jonathan were to defect to the APC today, I mean, does it qualify to run for the next election? Because I want to believe that the APC has its guidelines of when you're to be, how long you're supposed to have been a member of the party. Of course, we have had instances where parties waived that condition and allowed new members to pick forms, and some of those new members ended up becoming the candidates of the party. However, this was a bit too sudden. The story yesterday, joins APC, picked presidential nomination form.
I've always known and I've always felt this whole issue about Jonathan contesting for president in 2023, I never took it seriously, really, because I always felt that, look, it cannot be.
I never dismissed it totally, because it's Nigeria. Anything can happen. Look at the way the APC chairman emerged. You know, before he emerged, the current APC chairman, there were so many other names that we were almost sure one of them was going to be picked, and he wasn't picked. So it's Nigeria, right?
But I mean, by now,
well,
I mean, just yesterday we got a statement from the spokesman of Jonathan saying that if he was interested in running for any election, he wouldn't do so through the back door.
Yeah.
You know, so it's clear that, you know, there's no intention to actually vie for
and
any
I want to
position
believe that someone of his caliber, he would actually come out and say, this is what I want to do, not people going to buy the form for him.
Exactly. So it's just, I believe it's
but then, Ayuba, what is the rationale behind these people going to buy forms? And who are these people that are buying these forms? Who? The ordinary Nigerian?
Well, it cannot be the ordinary Nigerian.
Because the ordinary Nigerian, the last time I checked, most people were struggling under the harsh economic situation.
Exactly.
Who are these ordinary Nigerians that are now buying forms?
100 million naira
only,
is not...
only on...
You don't pick it on the floor.
Only at the weekend, farmers bought... It was, I mean, alleged that farmers bought form for the sitting CBN governor. I know that, yes, some farmers benefited from the ankle borers and all of that, but I also know that a lot of farmers are groaning under the insecurity and a lot of them cannot go to farms. And I was thinking, how were these farmers able to raise 100 million to buy farm?
Well, I'm wondering, maybe, just maybe, this is
only yesterday.
Maybe the ankle borers' money, you know,
it's a loan. It's supposed to be a loan, right? That they are supposed to pay back.
Exactly. So
are they supposed to use it to buy forms? You know,
who knows?
Only yesterday, another group bought form for the Minister of State for Petroleum, Timi Presilva, and I saw him with a form saying, "Okay, I'm going to start consultation."
Well, people are always the ones buying the forms for the.
That's why I'm wondering why nobody has bought for me actually.
Well, that's for you. But for some of us, we believe, I believe somehow someone has bought the form. I just don't know
and kept it somewhere.
Yes, I just don't know about it. Maybe the person wants to give me a surprise or something like that. Well, let's take a look at other stories of interest there. The issue, well, we'll be looking at the issue of ASU much later on the program in more details. But for now, other stories are quite interesting. Sokoto Zamfara government schools not registered for SSCE WAEC. Well, should we be worried about that?
We should. That's the lives of the future of many students. I mean, that's uncertainty around the future of many students. And like the exam body said, they said the reasons are unknown to them. They don't know why.
But private schools have paid, though.
Yes, private schools have paid. And that goes back to this thing of some state governments offering to pay these WAEC fees. You know, several times, certain people have argued that maybe parents should just be allowed to pay, because we have had instances where some state governments offered to pay, and at the end of the day, they did not pay. And in some instances, results were even withheld because the state governments did not pay.
Well, we'll see how all of that. For now, let's take a look at more stories on our front pages.
Should we look at maybe the leadership newspapers? Yes. The leadership newspaper, its biggest story there says 2023 presidency. Jonathan's picture with APC chairman Adamu sparks membership controversy. Then we have the story at the top, 500 billion demand. Prepare for world's first scarcity, Ipman tells Nigerians. Insurgency may not last beyond May 2023. That's a positive one there from the military. We also have this story, Miyiti Allah questions spending of cattle ranch funds by states. If you want to see that story, have details of it. It's on page 7 of the leadership newspaper. Then we have the story here. Pension funds placement in banks hits 2.14 trillion naira. This again on the WAEC situation in Sokoto and Zamfara. Sokoto Zamfara students barred from WAEC exams over non-payment of fees. ASU extends strike by 3 months. ASU to down tools tomorrow. Ayuba, this picture the president and the former president, Goodluck Jonathan, and the APC chairman.
Yeah.
An interesting one.
Yeah, and he's raising, suspicion, and I'm wondering what's happening there. The lead story says Jonathan's picture with APC chairman at the Move Sparks membership controversy. So it gives credence to what the rumor that we've been hearing about.
Maybe they met.
Goodluck Jonathan joining the APC.
Maybe they met for something else. Just
perhaps.
a picture, right?
I believe so.
It could be for anything. It's just like, these days, because of the rumor and everything, anything you see sparks your interest. Like, oh, what's going on here?
Yes,
it could just be a friendly meeting.
And it's looking like some of such engagement is becoming more and more obvious between the former president and the APC leaders these days.
Yes, I've seen a couple of that.
Even more than that of the PDP.
Yes, not too long ago, some APC leaders also visited him at his house.
So maybe that's why people are spreading this.
Because this rumor is there, anything that looks like will be blown up and people will want to talk about it,
True.
Because when I look at this picture, I'm thinking, could it just be a friendly meeting? Even the friendly meeting at this time again,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Another scary one on the front page of the Leadership newspaper, 500 billion naira demand. Prepare for worst fuel scarcity, Ipman tells Nigerians.
That means this excuse we are seeing may just be a joke, right?
Well, I hope not. I hope it doesn't get to as bad as it's been painted here. If you say worst fuel scarcity, I can only imagine what's the worst that can happen.
Exactly.
Really, in such a scenario where you do not have that fuel, it means the country is going to literally shut down.
Yeah.
That's what it means. People will not be able to move around.
Yeah.
Go to their places of work, and people may not be able to even afford, commodities in the market.
Yeah.
Inflation is likely to increase. More than what we are seeing now, which is already a very difficult
tough
one
situation
for many
Nigerians already.
So I hope it doesn't get worse than it is.
I hope so
right
too.
now.
I hope whatever the problem is, the federal government steps in immediately to address it, whatever it is.
True. I hope so. Well, we'll take a look at more papers this morning, and the Punch newspaper this morning leads with the presidential beat story. It says, INEC, CBN partnership under threat over Emefiele's APC membership. You would see also the writers saying, commission to review CBN's role may move ballot papers from bank's vault. CBN can't be trusted with sensitive materials under Emefiele, NBA, and civil society organizations are saying. No fear over Apex Bank governor's presidential bid, ex-INEC commissioner. So you could see where the direction of these Emefiele's candidature is taking. When people are already beginning to cast, when it's beginning to cast doubt over the integrity of our elections,
the materials that will be stored at
it's a huge problem.
It is indeed a huge
when
problem.
a CBN governor is seen to be partisan, then what will happen with the elections? Definitely it's going to
yesterday,
dent the credibility of our elections.
Yesterday the CBN governor was in court, and then his argument in court was that he went to challenge the legality or otherwise of his running for the election. And his argument through his lawyer, Ozehome, was that he's a public servant, not a political appointee, which therefore means that he can resign just a month to the election. But then this is totally different. The CBN that's the nation's vault.
Exactly.
And he cannot afford to be partisan. That's the way I see it. In fact, I'm just even wondering how investors, how foreigners are looking at the country at the moment, and how safe they feel with their investments. And, someone at that level should not be partisan. That's what I think.
You shouldn't be partisan. A lot of people have pointed to the laws, the very laws that we are using to argue. So some said that the act establishing the Central Bank of Nigeria has provisions that totally frowns at this.
There's also even the moral issue. It just doesn't sit well.
And the public service rules.
There's also the public service rules.
A lot of people have said the public service rules also has clearly made provisions that do not support these. So you cannot even argue it in court. I mean, if you go to the court and say you are not a political appointee. You are a public servant. In this climb, what's the difference?
And in any case, what's wrong with him actually resigning and going for the position if he actually wants it? He has been CBN governor for over 6 years, almost 7 years, or thereabout. So I think if he actually wants to run, he can resign.
Yes, but that would be in his argument now. If the court is to grant what he is arguing, is that he only gets to resign 30 days to the election. So that's in 2023, after all the campaigns.
I don't even know how
CBN governor. Imagine campaigning alongside
other people. And then even the party, the party is going to feel like the party may have some advantage over other parties, because I mean, if I'm in a party and then the CBN governor, a sitting CBN governor, not a former CBN governor, is running on the platform, of my party, I think it's not a level playing field.
Exactly.
By
I mean, we are not just talking
about
any other agency. We are talking about the money bank. We are talking about the bankers' bank.
Yes.
That make all the regulations.
And then again, and then look at this argument. INEC materials are going to be stored at the CBN, and then imagine the CBN governor in the same election where the INEC materials are stored under him.
I doubt if we're going to see fair play. Under that, and that's the fear of many.
Yes.
And so this shouldn't be entertained. I hope that the courts, weighed in on this as soon as possible. Let's take a look at other stories on the front page of the Punch newspaper this morning. Jet A1, NNPC, airlines agree on 3-month supply at 480 naira per litre. You also have refineries probe reps grill silver carry today as appearance compulsory. Says appearance is compulsory. Failed queues persist in Abuja. Petrol sells for 300 naira per litre. Well, I actually bought it 400 naira per litre.
Was it from a petrol station or from black marketers?
Not exactly from a petrol station, but from black marketers. But one thing that I find a bit confusing is that if you move down to the southeastern part of the country, fuel
that's like their constant price.
Yes.
No, it's not about there's no fuel right now. That's what it is. Yes.
It's the norm. You buy fuel, it's 250 or thereabout for a litre. And
and it's like the norm. People don't even talk about it at all. It's,
exactly. And I'm wondering
why is it that way?
And why are they not even bothered?
Why do they think it's okay?
Yes. And all that. So perhaps those are issues that we may need to interrogate as we go further. Now, let's take a look at this. APC rules out imposition. Groups pick Jonathan Lawan's forms. Groups are always the ones picking.
We need to unmask these groups. Who are these groups? It's time to unmask the groups.
Yes, and yesterday we also have the CAC boss also made some comments on the fact that registered groups or companies using their platform to purchase forms for politicians, that's a contradiction, with the provisions, that
they're not supposed to do that, right?
Yes, that enables, bodies to operate in such a manner.
But what I don't even understand is why would groups not allow the individuals to purchase these forms themselves? Because, if, for instance, I want to run for presidency, I should be able to take on the assets and liabilities, right? I should be able to buy my form.
Yeah, well, it's all about, supporters, right? It's all about, it's like saying, oh, okay, I have supporters. I have people who
I think politicians are using it as a popularity stunt now. Okay, exactly. I'm popular. I have people that are asking me. But I think that it's time for politicians to stop it, because Nigerians can see right through it. Honestly, Nigerians are seeing right through it, and it's time for them to stop it.
Whatever it is, even if it's a strategy, I'm not sure if it's going to work again, because it's now...
This particular strategy of somebody... In fact, I saw a picture of someone crying after a group bought a phone for him. Enough of it. They should stop it.
Well, let's take a look at some more stories. You see the picture there showing you, students protesting, ASU strike. It says, in Lagos, Benin, students vow to storm National Assembly and airports to protest, these incessant strike actions by ASU. At the very bottom, you'll see the stories talking about Tinubu, Atiku, lobby delegates, promise to tackle nation's disunity. NYSC controversy, Kwara Poli blames hacker, impostor declared wanted. Abducted train passengers' families seek government's intervention. So it's quite a tight corner for many of these family members, because they do not have, the abductors are not open to negotiating with the family members, at least from what we know so far. And then, government on the other hand is also not, well.
And it's over a week now when, during the Salah homage, that the president gave that directive that the security agencies should ensure that they continuously brief the families on, talk to them on what is being done to rescue their people. I wonder how far that is going.
Yes. Well, it's not been a good one. Yesterday, we saw, from the family members, it doesn't look like there have been that much of engagement
between both of them,
as we would like to see. But well, it's a sad experience that many of them are actually having to live with.
And as at last week, one of them, the one we spoke to, he was optimistic. He said that the message by the president gave him a lot of hope. And I'm wondering, between that time and now, it's as if everything has gone quiet again.
It has. Well, we hope that the abductees will be released as soon as possible. Let's take a look at more papers.
It can't be too soon anymore, because they have been there for over a month. Yes. It can't be too soon. I hope everything is done to get them out.
All right, let's take a look at more papers.
Let's look at the blueprint. The blueprint has a story here that says, the kicker said, as Fulani Almajiri Group picks presidential forms for Jonathan, Lawan joins Badaru, Yerima to boost North's candidacy in APC primaries. Then we have a story here. ASU extends strike by 3 months. Federal government begs union. Fuel scarcity bites harder. Commuters, motorists stranded in Abuja. Then we have a story here. 36 levies, taxes hanging on MTN, Glo, Airtel, others. Then we have this other story here. Internet fraudster bags 2-year jail term in Benin. NPC to conduct trial census in June. Post-COVID-19 recovery in Africa requires collective effort. This is coming from the president. Ayuba, this story again, ASU extends strike by 3 months.
Yeah,
federal government begs union.
We hope to see what will come out of this. The sad thing is that we are not seeing as much engagement between the federal government and ASU, and also the concern is that whether whatever has been agreed upon will be implemented at the end of the day.
My fear right now is the fact that this renewed strike, these 3 months is coming at this point where it appears all attention have been shifted to politics. And I'm wondering, is anybody actually going to sit down and look into the ASU issue at this point?
Well, from the last we heard, the president has mandated his chief of staff, Professor Ibrahim Gambari, and the Minister of Education.
Don't forget that. Don't forget that the Minister of State for Education. Don't forget that the Minister of State for Education has picked nomination form for the elections.
I agree with you, and a lot of people find that disappointing. That when the country is dealing with, I mean, when ASU, for instance,
your direct employees are at home,
forms, which is why, you know, a lot of people are saying, well, why is it that even people that haven't even declared intention to run for the elections are picking forms?
Well, for me, if you pick form, you have declared. Because, I mean, declaring is one, but once you pick the form, I just feel that...
But which should come first?
You're supposed to declare first, but if I pick the form and I say I've picked the form, it means I'm going to run, right? And in his own case, I didn't hear groups. You understand? So
yeah, right.
He picked the form.
Well, we'll see. Other stories of interest. MTN, or rather telcos, you know, as a whole, you know, about to increase, you know, the rate, the call rates, the SMS rates, and all the other, even data, you know, is about to go up. So what are we expecting in the coming days? Because the other time that they have written to the NCC seeking, you know, a review of all the charges that they charge on calls, on data, and SMS, and all of that. That too is also a conversation we're going to have on the program today, much in details. But for now, that's what we are seeing. Now, they said 36 levies, taxes hanging on MTN, Glo, Airtel, others, according to their association.
And you know, once all these levies come on these people, they just transfer it to the consumers.
True.
So we are the ones that
Which is one of the reasons why they are
asking for the,
you know, the tariffs and all that. But we'll see how all of that is going to pan out. Those are the stories on the Blueprint newspaper. For now, let's take a short break and then take a look at how Nigerians are, you know, meeting up their daily needs in terms of their daily hustle. The segment is actually called My Daily Hustle. So take a look.
My name is Taimoku Musa from Odkaro, Abuja. I'm into screening, painting, and also wallpaper installation. Well, I started this work when I graduated from my secondary school. That was 2006. So when I wrote JAM, I could not make it. So I discussed that with my dad, and I told him that I want to engage myself in doing one thing or the other that will help me tomorrow. And he asked me, and I told him I want to go into painting, in which he contacted one of his friends. He's a painter. He attached me to him. That was when I started little before I got admission to school. My dad is a landlord, quite all right. So each time maybe a tenant park out, you call a painter to come and maybe paint the house. So when I look at it, I say, this spending of money. And also I was sitting at home doing nothing. I was just sitting, doing nothing. As I wake up, eat, I'll go for messages, come back and sleep. So I was doing nothing. So I say it's better I learn something so that at least tomorrow, if it will help me, even though without government job, I can feed myself with it. That was what drove me to learn painting work. Quite all right. You know, I never want to be dependent. Maybe asking my father for money for soap, I want to wash, I will go and ask him for money for all small things. So definitely I say I have to just do something that will help me tomorrow. as a man, because I can't just sit down like that and fold my hands. What if that government job don't come? What will I feed myself with? That was what inspired me. I said, let me just try my best and do something that will help me tomorrow. That's why I'm into painting today. Painting work is very, very interesting. Honestly, I drive joy in painting. And each time I paint, after the work, by the time I look at the beauty, the aesthetic, I find joy in it, and people come around and tell me, "Wow, you have done a very nice job. This is a very nice work." And actually, this paint work has been giving me a lot. Honestly, I've been able to raise a structure with this paint work, and in which it pays me very well. And I drive joy in doing it. As I'm talking to you, I have boys under me that are working with me. Actually, this painting work has been helped since I got admission to Federal Polytechnic Nasarawa. My dad was the person that helped me out with the admission because he had a friend at Federal Polytechnic Nasarawa. He's a prof, Department of Urban and Regional Planning. It's through him I got admission to Federal Polytechnic. And actually, my dad, he has never stopped paying my school fees. Despite I'm into painting work. He has been paying my school fees. I only support him. Each time he has no money, I support him myself. Or anytime he say he has no money, how will I do? I help myself out. At times, if I'm in school like this, my customers will call, and probably I'll tell them I'm in school, I'm not chance. They'll have no alternative than to call another person. So that was when I started losing my customers. But when I graduated, I have to just help myself out again. I have to go to them one after the other. I'm back and I'm still into the painting work. So each time, anytime people have work, they can call me. That was why, by the grace of God, I'm doing well. Honestly, I'm looking fine because at times in a week, I can make like 50 or 60,000 at times. But our work is not like coming openly like this. You can sit a month, nobody will call you. But maybe after a month, now someone can call you to come and start a job. You end up hitting like 200, 150. As in, I'm making it. It's paying me well. Actually, even I'm being chanced to be a government worker. I can't leave my painting work. I'll still engage myself in painting work because this painting work is really helping me. That was when I finished my ND. That was 2015. So I started, actually now I have 2 boys at Federal University, Lafayette. Once they come back now, they join me with the painting work. And as I'm working, even the place I'm working right now, I have 2 boys now working with me. Actually, they are comfortable working with me because they are learning under me, so I'm not supposed to pay them. They are supposed to pay me. But because they are upcoming and they are students and they have needs, so I tried my best, like a day, each one of them, I give like 2,000 naira a day in order to motivate them, for their transport and other things. Actually, the challenges I have with this job is that, like in the times of materials, some customers find it difficult to trust us because tomorrow you go to market, the price will change. That's fluctuation. So if you go back to them and tell them that this is what is happening in the market, they hardly believe you because they feel as if you are cheating them. So I drive joy in maybe giving my quotation and they get the materials for me, I do the work for them. Formerly it was about 4,000 naira, 3,500, but now we get it at the rate of 6,500. In terms of screening, like these engineers, some of them, they don't plaster, they don't use wrench in plastering. So you see some kind of errors. So it's your duty as a painter, as a screener, to level, to do the work very well so that there will not be maybe lapses. By the grace of God, I'm looking up to God and crying for help so that I will get more clients that will give me, as in big jobs, big work that will move me forward. Because at times you see somebody call you just for shop or small work and we don't get enough money from it. But if we can get somebody or a contractor that can engage me in a big work, I'll live better and I'll be okay. Actually, I'm praying to God to give me more contracts so that I can just allocate my work to my boys. Highest, I'll just go ahead and supervise, check the work, and if the work is okay, fine. That's what I'm praying for. My call to them is that they should try their best and engage in learning handwork because it will actually help them without government job. Don't just sit idle and just wait for government job. You can still for 30 years, 20 years, government job will not come. But with this little one you are doing, it will help you and it will move you forward. So they shouldn't just sit idle, doing nothing at all. That is my humble advice to them. What I'm doing now is screening. It will, after the screening, the next day you can come and sandpaper the wall and paint it after it may have dried. That is all.
right, thank you for staying with us. And if you are just joining, you're watching Daybreak, reaching you live from the nation's capital in Abuja. It's top of the hour, 7 a.m. and you are about to get the headlines from us here in the studio. Jonathan rejects presidential nomination form as Lawan. Others join presidential race. CBN governor seeks court's clearance for presidential bid. Public schools in Sokoto, Zamfara yet to present candidates for WAEC. Now the news in details. Central Bank Governor Godwin Emefiele approached the Federal High Court in Abuja on Monday, seeking the court's position on his eligibility to contest the 2023 general election. In a suit he filed at the Federal High Court through the senior advocate of Nigeria, Mike Ozehome, the Apex Bank governor prayed for a declaration that he was not bound to resign to participate in a primary election to select a presidential candidate. Ozehome told the court that Section 84, subsection 12 of the Electoral Act as amended 2022 does not affect Emefiele being a public servant and not a political appointee. The CBN governor is the sole plaintiff in the suit, with the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, and the Attorney General of the Federation as respondents. The court, in its ruling, however, summoned INEC and the AGF to appear before it on May 12th to show cause on why status quo antebellum should not be granted to the CBN governor. However, setting ruling for May 12 may have effectively ruled out Emefiele from the APC presidential ticket race. Former President Goodluck Jonathan has rejected the nomination and expression of interest forms that a group bought for him. Nigerians had expressed shock over the gesture, but in a statement issued on his behalf hours after news of the form purchase went viral, Jonathan said he did not know who is behind it. Meanwhile, Senate President Ahmad Lawan has declared his intention to contest the 2023 presidential election. On the platform of the All Progressives Congress, Lawan made the declaration on Monday in Abuja while receiving the 100 million naira APC nomination and expression of interest forms presented to him by a political group, National Stability Project, led by Chief Sam Nkire. The Senate President said that he had listened to various calls countrywide asking him to contest the office of the President and that he was ready to commit himself to the cause. The Minister of State Petroleum Resources, Chief Timipre Silva, also picked the 100 million naira presidential forms of the ruling All Progressives Congress amid the ongoing fuel scarcity across the country. Now, public schools in Sokoto and Zamfara states are yet to officially present any candidate for the West Africa Senior School Certificate Examination WASC for school candidates scheduled to hold from May 16 to June 23. The head of the Nigerian National Office of the West African Examination Council, WAEC, Mr. Patrick Aragon, revealed that private schools in the states had registered their candidates for the examination. He noted that the reason why candidates from public schools were not registered remains unknown. According to him, over 1.6 million candidates from 20,221 schools have registered for the examination, out of which 855,000, which makes up 49.76% of the total figure, are males, while 800,724, representing 50.24% of the figure, are females. All right, that's that for the news highlights. Let's take a look at some more of these packages. Following the incessant collapse of the Moro and Adhom bridges in Moro local government area, the Kwara State government once again is appealing to the federal government to speed up the completion of the new alternative bridge to reduce accidents and loss of lives. The State Commissioner for Works, while on an assessment visit to the bridge, urged the federal government to urgently finish the construction of the new bridge as it affects the economic fortunes of the people of the state. Take a look.
Moro Belly Bridge in Okolowo area of Ilorin was constructed over 40 years ago and had been deteriorating lately. Road users who cross the bridge as part of their journey lament its negative effects on them and appeal to the relevant authorities to ensure its reconstruction.
The road, everything they enter is from here. Yam, plantain, any food from here to Ilorin, all the Kwara State, they go this place, go buy the food.
5 years ago, the federal government awarded the contract for the construction of Modern Bridge as alternative to the already old and dilapidated one. However, work on the new bridge seems to have halted due to additional requests for funds that are yet to be approved by the government.
Then sometime the contractor requested complain about the rate of the project and requested for new rate.
Former Controller of Works, the state government expressed displeasure with the slow pace of work when the Commissioner for Works paid an assessment visit to the old and ongoing bridges. He appealed for speedy completion of the new one as the constant repair of the old one cannot serve the purpose anymore.
At times you see the FEMA guys, they do the repairs. There are times when we also, the states, where we quickly do it before the approval will come. And when the approval comes, they will come and work. And the long-term solution is what we have on this side, where we believe when this is completed, then the traffic will now be able to move freely.
The representative of the Federal Road Maintenance Agency assured of their readiness to constantly repair and maintain the old bridge, pending when the new one will be completed.
The traffic on this road are too heavy, and to that extent, it's making a lot of impact on the panels and the H-beams.
As the people of Kwara State await the completion of the new Moro Bridge, expectations are high that motorists will cautiously use the bridge to ensure that accidents are reduced.
All right, thank you for that report. I mean, doesn't that capture the state of most of the roads across the country?
It's sad that, a project will start 5 years down the line and it's not completed. And I'm wondering what exactly is happening.
When I was seeing those vehicles move through that path, I was just wondering, anything can happen at any time.
And that's a major bridge there that connects the communities and the...
Yes, and even their food products and everything, they have to pass through that road to get to the people. Well, let's take a look at another report. The effects of the Russia-Ukraine crisis, which began on the 24th of February 2022, has continued to affect global economies, with Nigeria having its fair share. With Russia as one of the largest oil producers and Ukraine the largest in wheat and grains, their inability to service markets across the world due to the crisis has negatively affected businesses, including those in Nigeria. Chamun Daybreak put together this report for us.
The Russia-Ukraine crisis has continued to take a toll on the rest of the world. In Nigeria, the cost of fertilizers, wheat-based food items, and energy has soared exponentially, with the cost of diesel rising from about 280 naira in January to 700 naira per litre today. The hike in cost of energy has greatly affected the cost of doing business in Nigeria, resulting in an equal hike in the cost of goods and services. Economist Dr. Emeka Okengu speaks on the matter.
This is us. We burn, flare on a yearly basis 2 billion cubic feet of gas. And we import a fraction of that from Russia or Ukraine. Okay? This is us wanting to cry about, oh, energy is a major problem. And then you have these telecommunication companies that say to you, we are running our own generators. And we are here in this country, diesel moved from 350 naira to 800 naira. There are very few people who can run their diesel generators for more than 1 hour. Because what it technically means is that for you to be able to use that machine or equipment for 10 hours, you're going to be burning about 60,000 naira. Who does that?
Besides the struggles already faced in the manufacturing sector, the rise in energy costs has worsened the situation, with the Manufacturers Association of Nigeria calling for a national response and a sustainable plan for the sector. The association also advised businesses to adopt a strategic plan to limit the impact of the crisis.
Man says government help us. Is government supposed to be conjuring the wheat or the grains from the skies? All right, it's for all of us to start growing this consciousness and then look inwards. Like he said, we have these capacities. It's just that we don't have the volumes. All right, so, and yes, we can also wait. Weeds from planting or transplanting to harvesting, some maybe a 180-day cycle. So if you grow enough, and then the wheat belt stretches close to about 10,000 kilometers, so you can actually grow both the red wheat and the white wheat. The Borno belt will give you the very popular red wheat, okay, which locally is called Akama, so that people don't think we're talking about something, that's from the skies. And you still have, the Akama still being used, as the talias, okay. The talia you eat, most of them come from this wheat, some of them come from corn. Otherwise, we can also now go to substitute. Now, if we're talking about cereals, now, why are we not also thinking about some other things that we can be able to use for cereals?
Chamun Dabeng, Trust TV News, Abuja.
Well, I guess that the impact of the Russia-Ukraine war will continue to be felt in Nigeria.
Yeah.
Specifically because over time we have become
been dependent.
Very dependent on imports from that axis of the world. So,
and it's times like this that makes you wonder,
yes,
when we talk about diversifying, when we talk about trying to grow our own products and try to be more independent, I hope that we take that more seriously.
And if anything, the COVID-19 as well, and this now, this Russia-Ukraine war,
tells you that anything can happen at any time.
Would have exposed us to see that, look, really it's very important that we are self-dependent in some of these things, so that we do not expose ourselves and put ourselves in positions where we become very vulnerable.
Sadly, Ayuba, what happens is that when these things happen at the onset, we'll say, oh, it's time for us to be independent and all of that. After a couple of, once it's over, we'll just go back to our usual self. Everybody forgets until another disaster happens or another crisis, and then we start talking about it again.
Really? Quite a sad one. Well, we'll take a look at now the stories on the front pages of our newspapers shortly after this breather. Please stay.
But in a situation where you find that a look like the same,
not necessarily tribal or regional.
But I have said that.
All right, thank you for staying with us. And if you're just turning, you're watching Daybreak. Time now for us to take a look at another look at our newspapers, the stories on the front pages of our newspapers. This time around with our newspaper reviewer of the day, the director, Daily Trust Foundation, Theophilus Abba. He joins us to talk about some of the stories here. Thank you for joining us on Daybreak this morning.
Thank you very much. I'm envious of you. You are looking so gorgeous.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you for giving the opportunity to join you to discuss these issues.
You're looking good as well yourself. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, now we'll begin with Daily Trust newspaper. And the lead story, as earlier read, confusion as Jonathan rejects APC presidential forms. The writer says he joined ruling party in 2021. Northern governors paid for forms. Mieti Allah denies involvement. Ex-president did not authorize purchase. That's according to the spokesman of the former president. Silva Ayade Lawan pick forms. Court declines Emefiele's request, summons INEC and AGF. You have directly below the masthead, Sokoto, Zamfara, government schools not registered for SSCE. That's according to WAEC. Aviation fail. Airline operators to get 3 months supply at 480 Naira. That's according to the NNPC. The pictorial there basically shows you the letters that were written by Heritage Bank notifying the All Progressive Congress of the sum of money credited to their account on behalf of the former President Goodluck Jonathan. Clearly you would see first transfer 70 million naira, and then the next one 30 million naira. So in two separate places, one for expression of interest forms, and then the other one for the nomination of
totaling 100 million
nomination form. Yes, totaling 100 million naira. Below that, you see students threaten showdown as ASU extend strike by 3 months. So you could see that while we deal with the nomination and purchase of nomination forms of that amount, we have yet another group, just beneath that, students that are, struggling with their education right now on pause. At the very bottom, also other stories. Man rapes Facebook friend, threatens to release nude pictures. NATO demands compensation for truck burned in Anambra. The next story, Abuja, Kaduna train attack victims, families seek negotiation with terrorists. These are the stories on the front page of Daily Trust newspaper. And
maybe we'll just take one more paper before we go to our reviewer. And the Nation, the Punch newspapers, it says presidential bid, INEC, CBN partnership under threat over Emefiele's APC membership. It has a rider. Commission to review CBN's role may move ballot papers from bank's vault. CBN can't be trusted with sensitive materials under Emefiele. This is coming from the NBA and CSOs. No fear over Apex Bank governor's presidential bid. This is from an ex-INEC commissioner. We have another story here. Refineries probe. Rebs grill silver carry today. Say appearance compulsory. Vehicles purchased in Abuja. Petrol sells for 300 naira per liter. APC rules out imposition. Group speak Jonathan Lawance farms. And we also have a pictorial there with the caption, ASU strikes, students protest in Lagos, Benin, vow to storm National Assembly, airports. And then we still have a story here, an update on the attack along the Abuja-Kaduna rail track. Abducted train passengers' families seek government's intervention. Then we have this other story here. Tinubu Atiku lobby delegates promise to tackle nation's disunity.
All right. Now, before we quickly take a look at the perspectives to this, let's take a look at the Nigerian Tribune. It also has another angle of the story. It says, race for APC presidential ticket. Fulani group pays for Jonathan's forms. Emefiele confirms ambition. That's how the Nigerian Tribune captioned that story. It also has other stories there. Anger as ASU extends strike by another 3 months. You'd also see bridging cost, logistics cause of fuel scarcity, according to the marketers. And there you have also families of train victims under captivity protest in Kaduna. Sit at home affects UTME in Southeast. And then you also see at AWO's 35th patronal service, you would have political class united to have power not to save Nigeria, according to Cleric. So from these three, we've seen different slants to the same story, particularly the lead story about the Jonathan saga. The Nigerian Tribune has an angle that I'm wondering why the ethnic coloration given to that story. Ethnic group pays for Jonathan's forms. So, I mean, Fulani, do you have to paint it in that manner? That's something that I'm wondering.
Okay, I think it speaks to the fact that even the media is divided and could be unethical, when doing their reports, because basic ethics will require that you don't demonstrate bias, by saying Fulani group, you're actually saying that, oh, it is not appropriate, it is not proper, that there's mischief in the making. You're also saying that there's a kind of conspiracy, or you're also saying that it is wrong for this group to have purchased the nomination form for Jonathan. In a country that is united, you wouldn't see this kind of coloration, and I think, as far as I'm concerned, the editors, perhaps they have their agenda, but I think it is against the ethics of journalism to cast such headline. But my worry is the fact that, 100 million naira, could just be paid on behalf of somebody who does not even appreciate it.
But Mr. Abba, couldn't it be that the editors felt that Jonathan is from the south, Fulani group is from the north?
Yes.
So is it possible that the editors are trying to say, oh, this man is so accepted that the people buying this form are not even from his own region? Is that possible?
Well, from the background of whatever will happen, looking at the context of the political situation in this country, it does not really mean that the editors are clapping hands for Jonathan. He tried to say, look, there is an agenda in the making. If you say Fulani group, perhaps ordinarily we say a group buys form for Jonathan. It's okay. Why must you say it's a Fulani group that bought the form for Jonathan? I don't think.
All right, now
I think there is bias there.
Yes, another perspective that the Punch newspaper is now putting across is about the impact of this on our elections. For instance, the story about the INEC and CBN partnership under threat, talking about the Emefiele's own candidacy. It's clear now to everyone that he has actually shown interest in running for the office of the president. So the Punch newspaper puts it that INEC CBN partnership under threat over Emefiele's APC membership. So yesterday we saw that he has gone to court, for the court to make it clear that he reserves the right to contest, in that election of 2023. So if you think about the implication of, some of these form purchase and all that on our politics.
No, okay. I think we have to distinguish between INEC, CBN, and Emefiele. CBN is an institution, and the relation between INEC and CBN is this: that the sensitive election materials are deposited at the CBN's votes, for security purpose. Now, it will be too simplistic to assume that simply because Emefiele wants to be president, those sensitive materials will be compromised. I think there are guidelines.
I mean, is it not justifiable to have that argument? If you think about the fact that, having a partisan person, at the helm of affairs of an institution that is supposed to protect, ensure the safety of election materials, is it likely not to be compromised? Is it likely not to affect the credibility? Because, people must be able to see that the elections are credible. They must believe that the elections are credible. So every opportunity or everything that will likely give reason for people to begin to cast aspersion on the process is something that should be wary of.
I think there has not been any time when the CBN governor was not partisan. Every CBN governor was appointed from among loyalists of the ruling party over time. When Obasanjo was president, he brought Chiroma as CBN governor. Now, that was in, I think, 1999. When the Emir of Kano, I don't know whether it's called former Emir of Kano, but Emir of Kano, Sanusi was CBN governor, he was not non-partisan. And Jonathan brought in Emefiele, I think. So Jonathan brought him. It was not a non-partisan position. So what I'm saying that there has always been an element of partisanship.
And the CBN governor is arguing that. He says he's a public servant. He's not a political appointee.
I think his lawyers are just making money from him, because the denominator between public servant and appointed appointed politician, appointed official is the same word, appointment. If you are not elected, then you are appointed. Even if it's a job, you are given an appointment letter. So there is no judge who will rule in his favor to say that, look, he was not appointed. He was appointed. Even though he didn't just fly from Zenith Bank to CBN and become a governor of the CBN. He was appointed by the government in power. The same way the ministers were appointed, And
in any case, some will even argue that even as a minister, you're a public servant, isn't it?
The minister is a public servant. And that is why Erufai wrote a book, The Accidental Public Servant. He definitely, he doesn't have any argument as far as that is concerned. And I'm advocating that, you see, if he knew he doesn't have the strength to win an election, if he knows that his job as CBN governor, will be threatened, or he will lose on both sides, it's better he forgets the presidential ambition, because he has to choose between the two. You cannot eat your cake and still have it. The law says that you must resign. Yes.
Yeah, so because you even said that, you mentioned some people and said that they have been parties, and I agree. Every Nigerian will have a leaning towards a particular area. However, in all of those times, none of them came this far. None of them bought forms, or people bought forms for the person. In fact, yesterday, I saw a picture of vehicles with the picture of the CBN governor on it, campaign vehicles.
Yes.
So none has come this far.
Yes, that's right. But they didn't come out to seek election as governor or as president or senator. What Emefiele is doing now is actually odd, as far as I'm concerned. And if I may veer off a little bit, you see, the economy is in shambles. You understand? The monetary policies of the CBN governor is not helping us. You see, the CBN is supposed to control inflation. Everywhere in the world, two things. The CBN must control inflation. The CBN must ensure employment. Now we are debating about the percentage of Nigerians who are unemployed. And we are talking about 35% to 50% of Nigerians being unemployed. And then this CBN governor wants to be president. I mean, it is not the right thing to do. He should think, of how to fix the economy. He should concentrate on the job that he has at hand at the moment, instead of seeking to be president.
Others are also, looking at this story, the fact that the former president now, Goodluck Jonathan, rejecting the APC presidential forms. What does that say about this new trend of groups buying forms for people, even without the consent of those people? We are seeing people declaring intention, even buying forms for the election, even before declaring intention. People that we've not had at any time that they are, eyeing the office of the president. All of a sudden, we hear that they have gone to the secretariat of the APC and picked a form and that they have paid, and all of that. Quite a number of them. What does that say about this new trend?
Wait, as follow-up, before you answer that question, are you convinced that all these people that they have bought forms for did not know about it? They were just sitting there and the forms appeared?
Okay, of course. There is, what we call sequence of activities that led to this issue of form for Jonathan. He's been going to the villa. He's been meeting with some APC APC leaders, and we heard that he wanted to be officially invited by the president to join the party before he agrees. What that tells you is this. It means that he is interested, and it is because of his interest that a group will decide to buy the form for him. I don't know if you understand what I'm saying. Now, it's just like go through the Bible. You say Eve and the fruit, the fruit. What do you call it? The fruit in the garden. You know, the devil discovered that this woman became interested and decided to sell it to her. Now, you see, if Jonathan had said clearly, I don't want to run for presidency again, nobody will buy a phone for him.
But I think that has been made clear by the spokesman yesterday.
Well, maybe after other strategies failed, after, when they discovered that, look, he doesn't have a thoroughfare, to the presidency. He won't be given a ticket like on a platter of gold. That is why, they are coming out to say, look, we didn't ask anybody to buy the phone for us. Because I'm feeling strongly that if he hadn't shown interest, if he had come out openly to say, I am not interested, nobody will go and put money together to buy the ticket.
Well, can we really establish that he was actually interested?
That's why I talk about the sequence of events.
Being, more of, we've heard that speculation.
No, if you say no, it will be very clear. I am not interested in being president. Everybody will hear that. Nobody will now want to entice you with a form.
Well, Mr. Abba, when the people met with Jonathan, the former president, about 3 weeks ago, he made a statement when they asked him about his, ambition and all of that. He said, watch out. What do you make of that?
When you say watch out, it means that you are interested.
And that some people, political watchers, said that place was an opportunity for him to say, I am not going to run, or I am going to run.
He didn't do that. He didn't do that. So, a lot of hanging, not being certain, not coming out clearly, is what has led to his predicament. And unfortunately, this will bring him down, big time. Because we have seen him as a statesman, we have seen him as an African statesman all this while, So for him to now begin to want to come back, I don't think it's the right thing for him to have done.
Are there other avenues that, that the former president could serve, if he were, say, for instance, interested in, serving the nation in other capacities, or maybe doing certain things that will benefit the country as well?
I think he started it, philanthropy. He had the Jonathan Foundation, which is philanthropy. You see, if you've been president of this country for 4 years or 5 years, you have already achieved, you already got a lot from the country. In his era, he schooled, he didn't pay school fees, maybe in primary, secondary, university, up to his maybe PhD level. He became deputy governor, he became governor, he became vice president, he became president. I think that with that, he should be contented.
But is it not about service? This is about service, not
no,
about...
there are other areas of service, like the philanthropy. I love it. When he came up with the Jonathan Foundation, I clapped down for him, because that is the next thing for him to do. If you are not in government, you can use your goodwill, from government in Nigeria, outside Nigeria, among those who are affected when you were president, to harness resources to be able to help the underprivileged in the society. That is a whole lot of service to the Nigerian nation. You don't need to be president.
But I'm wondering, if indeed some people are pushing him to run for this position, why do you think they're doing that? Considering that he actually sought a second term and he was defeated. And at that time, there were reasons were given for why he was defeated. So why do you think some persons are pushing for this at this point?
Well, certainly I don't know what is on the mind of those who are pushing him, But one of the issues that have come out in the open, in public discourse, is the fact that if he comes in, if he wins the election, and that's strong if, then he will serve just one term. And maybe his promoters will look at him and say, look, we helped you to be here. Why don't you support us? So I think that may be one of the reasons, why some persons want him to come, because he will serve for only one term and then leave as a president. But my worry actually is the fact that, these millions that they're talking about, you see, I just thought about it last night. 100 million can pay the salaries of 50 professors. 100 million can pay the salaries of 50 professors. Then can you imagine about 20 persons, 200 times 20, 50 times 20. You are talking of a whole lot of professors who will be paid with this 100 million, because the APC does not need 100 million naira from anyone who wants to be the president of Nigeria. They don't need, because the party is always funded by the government in power, usually the ruling party. Yeah. So I think that, you see, with the way people are coming out with 100 million to buy those sheets of paper, I feel it's an insult.
Well, some people have argued that the cost of election has gone up because just the way the cost of every other thing has gone up.
Yes, but 100 million, we are talking about naira. It's a lot of money.
Well, maybe again, it's also showing us the gap or the
the salaries, the salaries of Nigerians, have not gone up. And look at the devaluation of the naira. Our salaries have not been increased because the naira has been devalued. The cost of things have gone up. Inflation has gone up. We know all those, but then we have not seen a corresponding increase in the earnings of Nigeria.
All right. Let's take a look at more papers now before we proceed. The Blueprint newspaper also have some very similar stories to the ones we read earlier. The one below the masthead says, ASU extends strike by 3 months. Federal government backs union. You also have the lead story. It says, as Fulani Almajiri group picks presidential forms for Jonathan, Lawan joins Badaru Yerima to boost North's candidacy in APC primaries. It also has fuel scarcity buys harder. Commuters, motorists stranded in Abuja. Also, other stories there. There are 6 levies taxes hanging on MTN, Glo, Airtel, and others. Let's take a look at the Nation newspaper. On the Nation, the lead story says, Jonathan, I didn't authorize group to obtain APC form. Also at the top there, petrol scarcity worsens in Abuja. Sokoto, Zamfara failed to register pupils for the West Africa examination. Also you have universities, police, others get TED Funds Intervention Fund. Oyo reintroduces history in schools curriculum. That's that for the Nation newspaper. Stella?
So I guess let's take a look at this ASU strike again. Now, yesterday, after exhausting 3 months, after staying at home for 3 months, the lecturers have called for another 3 months. I mean, what's your take on this?
Well, personally, I mean, it doesn't speak well, not just for the lecturer, but also for the country. I was thinking that if the federal government has entered into an agreement with ASU and it doesn't have the money to pay, or maybe this money is not captured in the budget, I don't know how much it is now. It's over some 200 billion or thereabouts. I thought that the federal government should have gone to the National Assembly with a supplementary budget. If government can borrow money, for subsidy, or fuel subsidy, I don't see any reason why government cannot borrow money to pay ASU. Because all this while, government has neglected its responsibility. If you enter into an agreement with a body like ASU to pay what they are entitled to, it's not as if they are not entitled to these things. These are legitimate earnings. If you have entered into an agreement with them, it's simple. Include these things in your annual budget. You can't ignore an agreement that you have signed with university lecturers when you are preparing your budget for every year. Since 2009, you have signed this agreement, and you know that you are supposed to pay. It's not like, they didn't earn it. If you look at it critically, talking about earned allowances, for instance, a lecturer supervises an undergraduate project or a master's dissertation or PhD thesis, and he ought to be paid. So many allowances that they've earned. If you know that, look, you don't have the resource to pay, and you have been borrowing money, to fund several unnecessary things, I don't see any reason why government did not go into borrowing, number one, or why government did not send a supplement budget to the National Assembly. because there are also wastes all over. And if you, reduce the wastes and say, okay, let's make sure we focus on this issue and salvage the image of our universities, definitely it can be done. I don't think there's anything impossible in what we are talking about.
What is the impact? Because, along the line, we're going to talk to an ASU, a member of ASU on this issue. But I would like you to talk about the impact on students staying at home for this long.
It's demoralizing.
If 3 months is going to, if they exhaust this coming 3 months, it will be 6 months in an academic year.
It's demoralizing, definitely demoralizing. I have one of my younger ones, an undergraduate. She's been at home all this while. And we're discussing at the weekend. I said, okay, are you reading? He said, what am I going to read? I said, look, when I was an undergraduate, ASU, went on strike, I had my book. I said, look, I'm tired. The girl was saying she was tired. So, it doesn't, the least is that it demoralizes the students. And many of them will no longer feel excited about, about their education. They are tired. And that is why, as students are saying, they will, embark on the street protests. And I think perhaps that is the right thing to do, because those in authorities, what do you call him, the Labor Ministry, Minister of Education, I don't think they are giving it the kind of attention that, that should be given to it. For instance, I heard that, for some weeks now, some months now, the federal government has not asked us to come for any discussion. There should be a middle ground.
All right, now I want us to take a look at, other issues because of our time. The field queues have resurfaced again in Abuja, and the NNPC is saying that they have 2.5 billion liters of petrol in stock. So meaning that it's not really about scarcity. But again, the marketers are saying that the bridging cost, they are blaming it on bridging cost and logistics issues as what is responsible for the scarcity that we see. As far as we are concerned, it's scarce if we can,
once you can't get it,
from the filling stations.
That's
and
the
then,
only word to call it.
Yes, and then the government is also blaming it on the long public holidays and the increased demand of the product. So again, one would have thought that in the last, is it 1 month or 2 months that we experienced this, some of these issues would have been sorted by now, but it's becoming more reoccurring. Is that something that we are not aware of? Is that something that we do not know as Nigerians about this?
Well, I was shocked when I discovered I couldn't even buy fuel. Even this morning while coming, I was just looking at my gauge. The fuel in my car was like, I was begging it not to finish so that I can arrive here. I think it has to do with management. You can't. You know that all Nigerians need fuel. You said you needed money, for subsidy. The federal government took a supplementary budget to the Senate. The Senate approved this money for subsidy. Now, we don't know why whatever they call the bridging gap payment is coming in. Because as far as we know, NNPC is the sole importer of petroleum products. Because they have said, look, they are going to continue to import, and the others will pick from them and they sell to Nigerians. So all I can say is that, you see, NNPC must put his house in order. Nigerians are suffering, and it doesn't speak well of the leadership of the NNPC that will keep having this problem. I still believe that the NNPC should not have any reason why we should not be refining petroleum products in Nigeria. There should be no reason, because we've done turnaround maintenance over the years, and I'm feeling that, you see, if other, crude oil producing countries can refine, there's no magic that they do that Nigerians cannot replicate in this country to produce, to refine products.
But again, the contradiction in what is causing this scarcity between the marketers and the NNPC? Is it something for us to be concerned about? Because the marketers are saying bridging costs, logistics issues. NNPC is saying, no, we have this in abundance in store. It's all about the long public holiday and the increase in purchase. So I'm wondering how, like, where does this to...
They are not telling, somebody is not telling us the truth. That's what I'm feeling.
And in the middle of all of that, Ipman is warning that we should be prepared for the worst scarcity ever.
Yes, that's one of the stories on the leadership front page.
So
okay, that we should be prepared. So, which means that there's something they are not telling us. There's a disagreement, I mean, somewhere, you know, and I'm feeling that, you know, the NNPC and all the other stakeholders in this petroleum distribution value chain should come together and ensure that they don't put Nigerians through unnecessary suffering. Because the kind of pains we are passing through in this country is totally shameful. Apart from it being pains, it is a kind of a shame, you know, for this country to be passing through what we are passing through now. The NNPC must put its house in order. You know.
All right. Well, thank you so much for coming on Daybreak this morning and sharing your perspectives on some of these stories.
Thank you very much.
We hope to see you again next week.
God will help us.
Yeah. Our reviewer is the director, Daily Trust Foundation, Theophilus Abba, and he joins us to give perspectives to this. We'll take a short breather now, and then when we come back, we'll take a look at more stories, more issues.
But in a situation where you find that they look like the same,
not necessarily tribal or regional.
But I have said that.
right, welcome back. We just finished the newspaper review segment. Now we're going to go right into with our first discussion for the day. Despite the already high tariff, telecommunication operator Telcos has notified the regulator Nigerian Communications Commission of its intention to raise tariffs on voice calls and data by as much as 40%. The NCC officially admitted receiving a letter from telecommunications operators requesting for tariff increment, but allayed fears that such threats could be carried out because operators know that the issue of tariff increment follows a rigorous cost-based study which has a due process. Now let's examine this critically and its implication on consumers. We have here in the studio a public affairs analyst, Larry Oluwaniyi, to look into and help us understand some of the issues. Mr. Larry, you're welcome to the studio.
Thank you for having me.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Well, a lot of Nigerians, have reacted, negatively, not in the positive, as regards this proposal to now adjust or review the charges for calls, for SMS and data by telcos and all of that. And they are attributing all of this to the rising expenses that, of operating, these companies. There's an increase of about between 35 to 40% increase on their expenses, talking about diesel and the rest of them. Is this justifiable in your own opinion?
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me. This is a business arena, and at the same time, you have something to do with the government of our country, because there must be check and balancing. What we have been experiencing so far with all these multinational companies is they just wake up in their own dream and increase tariff, increase something. We also have the same issue with multi-choice company recently, and that case is still pending at the National Assembly. I don't really blame them. You ask me why. The reason being that we're in a country whereby anybody feels anything can go. Any multinational companies believe that they can just do things without looking at the yearnings of the people, or are they really delivering the service to the people to the extent that they can even increase the tariff. No doubt there is an increase in diesel. Everybody knows that. There's inflation. But all these companies, are they delivering good services accordingly in the level whereby it would juxtapose the price they're about to collect?
Mr. Oluwaniyi, they said that apart from the cost of diesel, that in some states, because of the insecurity situation, their workers cannot go to the facilities, so they are losing money there. They also said that due to this NIN SIM registration, some numbers have been bad, so those people cannot make calls. They are losing money from there. So these are some explanations that they have given.
Some of the facilities that have been vandalized in some of these crisis-prone areas.
So I want you to talk on based on these explanations they have given.
It's not Nigerian that will bear those costs. That's the truth. It's not Nigerian citizen that will bear those costs. Those are things that are supposed to factor into their business plan at the beginning. And before now, you must know that before now, we know how much the MTN are selling line, selling recharge card. So they have made enough in the time past. So now we are having a security challenges in our country today, and now they are feeling the pain now. So they should come to our table to us saying, come on, these people, we have made something from this country. And now this country is facing a serious security challenge. How can we be of help? So now what they are trying to do is that they are losing money in some part of the country. So the money they are losing there, they want to tax the other people to pay for the money they are losing in other regions.
So are you saying they should not, there's no justification for them to ask for an increment, or that the increment may be too much, 40%?
Definitely it's too much. It's too much. That's the truth. It's too much.
So if you say Nigerians are not the ones that are to bear the brunt of this, who pays the money?
They should look inward. They should look inward.
Look inward how? They are doing business.
They are doing business. They should look inward in their business firm and look at how to generate money, not to overtax our people already that are already complaining. How many people can afford 1,000 naira data in this country today? Let's tell ourselves the truth. Majority of people are buying 100 naira data.
But do you think there's a way government can intervene in the issue? Because these are business.
Right? that is the best direction.
They have said that they are responding to the current business environment that they have found themselves.
Yes, I've said it earlier. It was not like this before. They have their juicy period, which we are aware that by the month of September, in so many, about 7 years ago, in the month of September, majority of these telecommunication companies, they will tell us that they have met up their target for the year. The remaining money that is coming is just an extra, it's just a bonus. We have it, it's in public domain. So they have their juicy period. If they need to sit down with the federal government, if they need to sit down with the Ministry of Defense to talk about the security situation, they can help them. And if they need to meet the Minister of Communication as well on the issue of linking, how they can just oppose it, how this thing can work well for them so that they can unbar the people that they are bad. So, to me, to not put 40% increase on the populace again, I believe is not a fair deal for the Nigerian citizen.
Well, unfortunately, because of our time, we'll have to end this discussion. We really appreciate you coming on the program, and we look forward to having you next time on the show.
Thank you very much.
Yes, we've been speaking with Lanre Oluwaniyi, I beg your pardon. He is a public affairs analyst, and he joins us to talk about this. Please stay with us. We'll take a short break, and then when we come back, it will be top of the hour, and we'll take a look at more news stories.
This is Trust TV, documenting the Nigerian story.
All right, thank you for staying. It's top of the hour. Let's take a look at the headlines again. Jonathan rejects presidential nomination form as Lawan. Others join presidential race.
Barrow drops governorship ambition to face Ganduje for Senate seat.
Public schools in Sokoto, Zamfara yet to present candidates for WAEC.
Now the story in details. Former President Goodluck Jonathan has rejected the nomination and expression of interest forms that a group bought for him. Nigerians had expressed shock over the gesture, but in a statement issued on his behalf hours after news of the form purchase went viral, Jonathan said he did not know those behind it. Meanwhile, Senate President Ahmed Lawan has declared his intention to contest the 2023 presidential election on the platform of the All Progressives Congress, APC. Lawan made the declaration on Monday in Abuja while receiving the 100 million naira APC nomination and expression of interest forms presented to him by a political group, National Stability Project, led by Chief Sam Nkiri. The Senate President said he had listened to various calls countrywide asking him to contest the office of the President and that he was ready to commit himself to the cause. The Minister of State for Petroleum Resources, Chief Tibi Presilva, also picked the 100 million naira presidential forms of the ruling All Progressives Congress, APC, amid the ongoing fuel scarcity across the country.
Public schools in Sokoto and Zamfara states are yet to officially present any candidate for the West African Senior School Certificate Examination for school candidates scheduled to hold from May 16 to June 23rd. The head of the Nigerian National Office of the West African Examinations Council, Mr. Patrick Arega, revealed that the private schools in the state had registered their candidates for the examination. He noted that the reason why candidates from public schools were not registered remains unknown. According to the HNO, over 1.6 million candidates from 20,221 schools have registered for the examination, out of which 800,055 are males, while 800,724, representing 50.24%, are females.
Now, the chairman of the Senate Committee on Appropriations, Senator Barrow Jibril, has dropped his governorship ambition and picked forms for the senatorial election. Barrow will be challenging Governor Abdullahi Umar Ganduje, whom the party stakeholders endorsed for the seat. The current senator representing Kano North Senatorial District, who was one of the leading governorship aspirants in Kano State, dropped his ambition 24 hours after Ganduje anointed his deputy as the consensus candidate of the party. The lawmaker has confirmed that he has picked the forms to return to the Red Chamber.
All right. The chairman of the Senate Committee on Appropriations, Senator Barrow Jibrin, has dropped his governorship ambition. Oh, beg your pardon, that's the story that you just read. All right. Now, let's take a look at the next discussion here, and we have standing by via phone, joining us from Gwagwalada, the chairperson, ASU University of Abuja chapter, Dr. Kasim Umar. He will be talking to us about the strike extension by ASU. Good morning, and thank you for joining us on Daybreak.
Good morning.
Well, the extension of the industrial action by ASU is coming to many Nigerians with a bit of concern, really, because already 3 months has gone, and students are already out on the streets in some parts of the country protesting. And we also know that there have been, committees after committees to see to the resolution of these strike, but it doesn't look like we are reaching an amicable, solution at the moment. So, what exactly is the problem with implementing some of the things that have been agreed upon between the ASU and federal government back in 2022? Let's begin from there. 2020 rather, not 2022.
Yes, of course. We read on the pages of newspaper of all those meetings, purported meetings the federal government or the Minister of Labour and Productivity keep on saying that since the committee was set up, since we are back on the rolling strike of 14th of March 2022, nothing tangible has been done, no commitment from the government, and the NEC met and noted all this, and decided to give the government an ample opportunity of another 12 weeks to implement all the agreements signed by ASU and the federal government back to our MOA of 2020.
Okay.
Okay, Dr. Umar, as it is already this year alone, ASU has been on strike for 3 months, and ASU is calling for another 3 months. It is noted that there are some agreements between ASU and the federal government, which, according to ASU, the federal government has not kept its part of the bargain. But a lot of people are wondering, is there any other way ASU can approach this situation apart from the strike?
Look, the only thing Nigerian government understands is strike. And that is the only language they understand.
And Dr. Umar, are you sure about that? Because you have been out, ASU has been out for 3 months, and government doesn't seem to understand.
Let me learn. I am telling you that the only language the government understands is strike. And we're telling you that go back to the issue of what the struggle of our union is, right from, in fact, 80 today. How many agreements have been signed with the same government that will sit down with their head correct and endorse an agreement that I am going to do this, I will do this, with time lag? Must we embark on strike before they do anything? We are telling you that we are on strike. We embark on strike for 1 month, far back to 9th February. They never did anything. We roll over the strike for 8 weeks. They never did anything. Now, is it not right for the stakeholders in Nigeria to put pressure on the government to do the needful?
Okay, Dr. Umar, one of the issues is the renegotiation of the agreement that was reached under the Yaradua administration. Reports say that the government has not come to the table with anything on that. Please, can you speak more on that?
It is not Yaradua's government. This present government has entered the negotiation in agreement with our union twice. We said 2020, we said 2021, memorandum of action signed by the union and the federal government. But they never implemented anything. And they keep on telling lies, telling Nigerians. Like, for instance, we embark on strike, they agreed that in every quarter, 200 billion naira will be injected for revitalization fund. They never did. They asked us to bring an alternative to IPPIS, which is not peculiar to the system. We developed UTAS. They subjected the UTAS to user test. We scored 99.7%. They have not deployed it. The same government again agreed that they will meet with the state governors on the proliferation of universities in Nigeria, including the federal government, that the ones we had is not taking care of it. Don't bring up another new one. They've not done anything. Promotion areas of retail salaries of our members, all have not been done. They agree with a timeline. It has not been done. Okay. And no third party deduction has also been done. And as it is today, we're telling you for the past 2 months now, this is the 3rd month, no individual, no lecturer in federal universities have been paid their salary because of embarking on a legitimate struggle, forcing government to do what is expected. What they sat down and signed, it has not been done.
Okay. You know, last year, earlier this year, sometimes in March 2022, the Minister of Labour and Employment, Chris Ngige, said that a total of about 92 billion naira was paid to all federal government-owned universities for the earned allowances and the revitalization fund. He said 40 billion naira, this is the breakdown now. He said 40 billion naira was paid for earned allowance, that's in 2021, and that 30 billion naira was also budgeted and paid for the revitalization of federal universities in 2021, and then also 22.127 billion naira was also paid in December 2021. So what would you say to that?
You see, we don't want also to join issue with the Minister of Labour and Productivity, because to us, he will wake up and just say whatever comes to his head. Let me be honest with you. The money, the EAA, they are owing the end academic allowances, they are owing public federal university, is more than 1.5 trillion. And they agree that on the basis of quarterly on day, they will be paying so amount. So what they pay is just a fraction of that amount of money. Why not come to the town and inform Nigeria that this is the total sum of money they are owing us? Because the money they are owing us, they refuse to pay the backlog. They went back and said, okay, this is a fraction of just a semester work. End allowance is amount of money that has been accumulated by the government and by the other government too, and they agree and sat down that, okay, let us put it into payment of quarterly basis, and they've just paid fraction of 1.5 trillion that they are owing. So why are you not talking of the one you have not paid? Why are you talking of the one you've given you paid?
So it means that there is something that is being done, isn't it? I mean, for government, for every spending of government, it has to pass through budgetary allocations, isn't it? And that takes a bit of time, isn't it?
Ask yourself. They said in budget, let me tell you, they said in budget of 2020 is going to be included. Ask them, please. Is that amount of money in the budget? The answer is no. 2021 budget, is it part of it? The answer is no. And at any point in time, supplementary budget can be made. We are not done now. You can't tell us because you don't put A, B, C, D in the budget, then that does not mean you will not be able to solve the problem. No. Then you can't sit down with an intellectual, say from so month to so month, we are going to do this. You endorse, I endorse. Then at the end of the day, you never did anything again. Series of letters has been written. Series of communication to the various offices of government has been done. 6 months, 7 months, 8 months, 1 year.
Okay,
nothing has been done.
Okay, Dr. Umar, not too long ago, the government said that they may not be able to meet the obligation to ASU because of the current economic situation. So is ASU open to a renegotiation of this renegotiated agreement?
Look, we are saying how many renegotiations you are going to do. The same federal government last 2020 set up Muslim League federal government negotiation team. We sat with us with over 7-8 months and renegotiated what they said renegotiation of 2009 agreement. Why are they not working with the document to get us a draft so that we will be able to sit down and sign? Why not? We're saying that they've sat down and while setting up another renegotiation team again. What is wrong with that documented renegotiation done by Mrs. Jubril submitted to the Minister of Education?
No,
what is wrong with
Dr. Omar,
have they tell Nigerians?
Dr. Omar, my
what
question
have they done about it?
Dr. Omar, my question is, if the government is insisting that they do not have the financial muscle to meet their obligation to ASU at this point, is ASU open to any kind of midpoint?
Let me ask this question. The government have the government did not have or have financial muscle to set aside 4.3 trillion for soil subsidy, which does not exist, which the same government told us does not exist. The government does not have financial muscle where the privatization of PHN, which they've sold to their friends and this thing, and they came up and still financing the same company they sold out from government budget. And the same government does not have financial muscle.
But Dr. Umar...
No, it's about priority. If they take education serious in this country, they will not be doing what they are doing.
Dr. Umar, I'm going to go back to my first question. As it is at the moment, ASU appears to be losing sympathy with Nigerians because of the impact this strike is having on the children and education generally in the country.
Let me get you well. I don't get you well.
I'm going back to my first question, which is there an option to strike? Because as it is at the moment, ASU appears to be losing sympathy with Nigerians because of the impact these strikes are having on the education and, the future of the country.
Please, it seems to me you are taking sides.
No, I'm just saying, you know, like they say, Dr. Umar, when two elephants, like they say, Dr. Umar, when two elephants fight, it's the grass that suffers. I'm saying, what is the way out?
I don't know the research you've conducted by getting into that conclusion that the government, that the Nigerian public are losing sight. Whoever cared to read the historical basis of how the struggle started and where we are in this country will not be saying what you are saying. Because in the first place, have NLC not intervened in this situation? Have the protests going around in the entire country? Look, if you read what you know about this union and the plight of how the government is insincere to the educational sectors in this country, I don't think you'll be saying what you are saying. And let me be honest with you. This strike, you are only looking at the one side. Is strike not affecting the lecturers? There are colleagues who are pursuing their degree program also in the university. Are they not out of this system? The same thing, are you saying that my own children is not in the university?
Okay.
All right, Prof. Let me get your own, thoughts. Maybe you should take us through the kind of engagement that has been between ASU and the new committee that was set up by the federal government in March 2022. That's the Professor Nimi Briggs committee that was set up. What kind of engagement has there been between ASU and that committee? We are hearing speculations that ASU is not, giving to engaging with that committee. Is it like ASU has lost confidence in the engagement with the committee or what?
Look, ASU has never one day refused a call for any committee meeting. But we're telling you that the government is insincere. Look, some time ago, the government set up 3-man committee set up by the federal government, Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, sometime 1st February 2022, to resolve the lingering issues between ASU and federal government. And let me tell you, up to today, you can quote me anywhere. We have not received any invitation for any meeting, apart from just the recent one that the Minister of Education, which we read on paper saying that they are meeting with us on the 16th of this month. So they go about saying all sorts of things. Well, you are quite aware in this country, the federal government, that is the Commander-in-Chief, as Minister of Education, as the Chief of Staff, as Minister of Labor, to go and solve this problem. It's a directive from the Commander-in-Chief. And we are telling you, right from that time today, if not this recent call, that we are to meet with us on the 16th of February, 16th of May 2022, no invitation has been sent to the union. And again, instead of concentrating, facing the reality of the issue, they keep on moving around going front, coming backward, and going as far as stopping our legitimate salary.
Okay, now what about the Nimi BRICS committee? Have you had any meeting with them, and what were the discussions?
You see, that is what I've been telling you, I've been saying. I said the only, in fact, that invitation, which we saw all those things on paper, no communication. You can't talk to us. When we embark on, before we embark on site, there are series of correspondence advanced to the government. Why not invite? Why not write to us and said you are invited for social meeting? But rather, the BRICS committee started moving around from one parastatal to another, saying they are looking for information. Information on what?
All right. Now, now you talk about the the no work, no pay policy that has been invoked sometimes in March this year. Now, do you think that there's a moral justification for ASU to continue to be paid even when students are back at home and the strike is on?
I want to inform you that you maybe you need to check the Labor Act, so that you see by the time industrial action is declared, you don't implement anything, you don't punish anybody for no job. That is one. Number two, because of the peculiarity nature of our job, you can't say this because we have not done work, and that work can never be done again. You are quite aware, I am sure you pass through university. If you don't work for first semester, you cannot proceed to second semester. And therefore, the union has a policy of no pay, no work.
Okay.
Dr. Umar, there's this, taking back to the issue of the UTAS.
Yes, it was. I think you have to be loud,
okay.
louder so that I'll be able
okay,
to hear you.
Dr. Umar, I'm taking you back to the issue of the UTAS. It was said that it passed integrity test, and after that, it was.
You said
the issue of the UTAS.
Yeah.
It was said that it passed integrity test, and that, but after some time, the government did not go ahead with the approval for lecturers to be using it. There has been some allegation as to why. Is ASU aware of any particular reason why that approval was withheld?
As far as we are concerned, we know that the government is playing politics with the lives of Nigerians, and that is the basic part. Because the same government asked us to bring out an alternative. We were challenged. In fact, we are giving 1 year, we developed this system within 6 months. And they subjected this system to various tests, user tests, all these tests conducted by NISA, which we are quite aware that even the other system they've been using, they never subjected it to any test. And we agree because we know what we did. And at the end of the day, they decided to say what they are saying. But as far as we are concerned, you cannot ask us to go and provide another alternative, which is so friendly, home-based, and you come up one day and said, without no cause. The reason for them to say so, Nigerians are waiting, which we were patiently waiting, and whenever they decide to deploy it, we'll be ready to use it.
But Dr. Kasim, why is ASU particularly emphatic about the use of this UTAS? Why is it so important? I mean, why particular about the UTAS?
We have said this thing severally, that university environment is not like ministry and parastatal. Because you can't subject university environment to, in fact, the university environment is so dynamic that even the labor force you use, you cannot say maybe today, these are the quite number of staff you have to use, these are this. And we keep on saying that this thing they started implementing, it has a problem because it never recognized so many allowances. So, in fact, our peculiarity. And I give you an example, third-party deduction. 2, the system is being used as it is today. We are still telling you that over 2,000 lecturers, their salary has been withheld. It's not paid. How? Why? As we are talking to you, we are saying that, let me give you an example from the Vice Chancellor. Before now, they were using Disney. Vice Chancellors is receiving about 1.6 million, equivalent to their counterparts, permanent secretaries and co. And at the end of the day, the introduction of the IPPS today, none of them, in fact, at times, they are paid, some are even paid up to 50, as low as 50,000. But as it is today, no Vice Chancellor will tell you that it's receiving up to 700,000. Because there are so many allowances recognized by our 2009 agreement with the federal government, because our salaries are always negotiated. You are quite aware also that even the minimum wage does not affect us. Why? Because our salaries are always negotiated every 5 years, which the government of Nigeria never did when the 12th, 13th year today.
Okay, now...
They've never done so.
All right.
So this year system never recognizes, and we are telling you that IPPS is the World Bank agenda. And we are not the only person complaining. You've seen the auditor's report in this country, Auditor General's report indicting IPPIS. You see other ministries and parastatals still complaining about the same system. If the government is so sincere, why not have a strong panel of inquiry to investigate what we are saying?
All right. Dr. Kasim, can you tell us now in totality how much has ASU received out of the monies that have been agreed upon to be paid to ASU? That is the and allowance and the revitalization fund combined together, and all the monies that have been requested. I'm sure over ₦1 trillion. So how much have been received so far?
You see, I can, as chairperson of the University of Abuja, there are certain information which might not be available to me. But as far as we are concerned, if they had that Muslim Jibril document, which our principal officers agree with them to draft a white paper on it for us to endorse that agreement, I think it will be best out there. But now as it is, I do not have the total info with me.
Okay.
Okay, but can you give us an estimate?
No, we don't speak like that. You know, we speak with facts. Our union speaks with facts. I cannot just give you any estimate in relation to that.
Okay, but earlier you said that, you know, the federal government has not made any payments, you know, with respect to that.
Hello?
Hello, I said earlier, you said the government has not made any payment as per implementing the agreements that are being had, you know, with respect to that. So how can we really, you know, reconcile this?
I think something needed to be done. The network is not clear here. Maybe from your own end. If you are hearing me clear, I'm not hearing you.
I can hear you very clearly.
I'm not hearing you.
I'm just saying that about the monies that have been received by ASU, you know, and you know the claims by ASU that the government is lying to Nigerians. How do we reconcile this if we do not know how much have been paid to ASU?
Bro, which money? I have told you here that we are reading all those things from pages of newspaper. And let me even tell you one thing that you the journalists needed to understand. Please, we want you people to do an independent investigation for most of these things.
You can start by helping us. You can start by telling us, at least give us an estimate.
Wait. Money sent to universities is not made for ASU. If there's any one couple sent to university, we have other unions. We have money that goes to the Vice Chancellor's office for projects. And they will still come up and say, we're giving so amount of money to ASU. Which money?
I'm talking about ASU. ASU is fighting for the cause of the universities, isn't it? So yes, if the federal government is releasing any fund, and in the name of earned allowance or revitalization fund... Sorry?
I said so if ASU is fighting for the cause of improved and the development of the Nigerian university, any money you budgeted as a budget for
No.
the institutions.
That's not what I'm saying. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that at least ASU should be able to give us an estimate of this is the amounts that have been released with respect to and allowances and revitalization fund. An estimate at least will help.
Of course, I told you that the EAA owned by federal government is running to about 1.5 trillion. And even the older lady, your correspondent said it here, that 20 billion was sent. And that 20 billion, they should ask them, how many union? Because I don't want to join issues that maybe at the end of the year will be seen antagonistic to other issues. The EA that was sent to the various universities, you are quite aware that NASU, SANU, NAT, they are part of all this distribution. So, and I'm telling you that I never have the other money which they sent as a whole that was sent to the university.
Okay.
Because you know why I'm asking this is because federal government is making its own claim of 92 billion naira. That's what the minister told us. Right? So if he said so, and you as ASU you are saying that that's not the case, then you should tell us.
I have told you from the beginning. This 92 you're quoting is a fraction of what the government is owing up to 1.7 trillion, including revitalization, which they promise that on revitalization alone, on quarterly basis, they will spend 200 billion. And among the 200 billion, which is purely for revitalization, someone is spending 92. And that among that 92 is saying that 30 billion is for EAA, N allowance, sorry. N allowance is not for only ASU member. And we are saying that other unions are involved. And we are saying among even the 92, if you have to look at the percentage of 1.7 trillion, which they are owing, is it not insignificant?
Okay, Dr. Umar.
That's why I said let the same people review their record of what is committed to them by Muslim committee they set up. We sat down with the government.
Okay, Dr.
But
Umar.
I don't have that report with me, of course.
Okay,
and
Dr.
that is why
Umar,
I'm saying so. I'm challenging the government to bring out and to publish that report.
Okay, Dr. Umar, if I get you right, what you have confirmed is that government paid a fraction of what they agreed with the union. Now you're going into a meeting on May 15. Is ASU open to shifting position, or like, you know, if the government comes with some kind of midpoint agreement, or is ASU going to insist on government fulfilling all the agreement reached before anything can be done?
Government has been shifting position, ASU has been shifting position, not today. And that is why you have various agreements. 2020, 2021, and we are saying go back and implement it. They set up another committee to work with which I'm referring to this committee. Let them look at that document and bring out something and sit down with us.
So what you're saying, Dr. Umar, is that ASU is sticking to its position.
Hello?
What you're saying, Dr. Umar, is that ASU is sticking to its position even as it goes into the meeting on May 15th?
Look, I have told you that we have never stayed away from talking. Let them work.
Your account is low. Please recharge as soon as possible or dial *5.
Hello, Dr. Umar. Okay, Dr. Umar, thank you very much for talking to us this morning and for sharing your views on the current situation between the ASU and the federal government. We do hope that this issue is tackled as soon as possible. We'll take a short break now. When we return, the show continues. Please stay.
Well, there you have it, an interesting conversation there with the chairman of the Abuja chapter of ASU, Kasim Umar, who was talking to us about the recent extension of strike by ASU. We'll now take a look at another segment on the show, My Daily Hustle, just to have a sense of how and what Nigerians go through from day to day, trying to put food on their tables. Take a look.
My name is Taimoko Musa from Odkaru, Abuja. I'm into screening, painting, and also wallpaper installation. I started this work when I graduated from my secondary school. That was 2006. So when I wrote JAM, I could not make it. So I discussed that with my dad, and I told him that I want to engage myself in doing one thing or the other that will help me tomorrow. And he asked me, and I told him I want to go into painting, in which he contacted one of his friends. He's a painter. He attached me to him. That was when I started little before I got admission to school. My dad is a landlord, quite all right. So each time maybe a tenant park out, you call a painter to come and maybe paint the house. So when I look at it, I say, this spending of money. And also I was sitting at home doing nothing. I was just sitting, doing nothing. As I wake up, eat, I'll go for messages, come back and sleep. So I was doing nothing. So I say it's better I learn something so that at least tomorrow, if it will help me, even though without government job, I can feed myself with it. That was what drives me to learn painting work. Quite all right. You know, I never want to be dependent. Maybe asking my father for money for soap, I want to wash, I will go and ask him for money for all small things. So definitely I say I have to just do something that will help me tomorrow as a man, because I can't just sit down like that and fold my hands. What if that government job don't come? What will I feed myself with? That was what inspired me. I say, let me just try my best and do something that will help me tomorrow. That's why I'm into painting today. Painting work is very, very interesting. Honestly, I drive joy in painting. And each time I paint, after the work, by the time I look at the beauty, the aesthetic, I find joy in it. And people come around and tell me, you have done a very nice job. This is a very nice work. And actually, this paint work has been giving me a lot. Honestly, I've been able to raise a structure with this paint work, and in which it pays me very well. And I drive joy in doing it.
All right, thank you for staying with us. And if you're just joining, you're watching Daybreak, reaching you live from the nation's capital in Abuja. Now to our third discussion on the program. We are seeing the reactions that have trailed the purported purchase of form for the former President Goodluck Jonathan by some group, and also we've seen that the former president has rejected that move. And again, there have been speculations and rumors about the former president joining the ruling APC, the ruling All Progressives Congress, and of course certain pictures that have emerged have also given credence to that. And so the speculation is becoming louder every day and is becoming more like it's a fact. And with this recent purchase of nomination form for the former president. A lot of people are wondering, really, what's happening. We have in the studio a stalwart of the APC, Mohammed Esu, who joins us to talk about this. He is the Senior Special Assistant to the Niger State Governor on Rural Electrification and also a very active member of the APC. Thank you for joining us in the studio this morning for Daybreak.
Thank you very much for having me, my friend.
Yes. Well, we've been hearing a lot of things from the grapevine, and thankfully you are also a chieftain of the APC. What exactly is happening that we are not aware of? Maybe you should tell us. Is the former president now a member of the APC?
Yes. I think first and foremost, we must appreciate the party, new National Working Committee, to see how we conduct our primaries that is forthcoming, and getting new people into the fold and resolving some crises that's been bedwelling the party in the last few years. You can see even yesterday, likes of former governor of Zamfara and the current governor of Zamfara are on the table to discuss. And the former president joining the party.
Has he joined the party?
Yeah.
Can you say categorically that he's a member of the APC?
He's in the process of joining the party because visiting the party chairman yesterday night and purchasing of the form, even though his aides...
When he visited the party chairman, do you know what was discussed?
At this critical time, there won't be a smoke without fire.
You may have gone to ask the party chairman how he's doing, how his family is doing, you know.
That one can be private, but being on the photograph with the party chairman, that means you want to send a signal to
but that's not synonymous to him joining the party. So,
yes.
So we expect as a member of the party, perhaps you have more information that we do not have.
Yes, I think you are aware the former president went, some group of people visited him last few weeks about his calling on him to join the race of 2023 general election under the platform of APC. He told them that let them wait a bit and see what the situation will unfold. And you know, today is our last closing date for the purchase of the nomination form. And with the dramas that, not drama, with the actions that happened and yesterday, we don't know what's going to happen this morning. The former president...
Yeah, but the spokesman have categorically said that the former president do not intend to run for any election, and even if he intends to do so, he will make that very clear, not through the back door. He said something like that. And I'm wondering that even if the former president were to join the APC, will he be able to contest, you know, for an elective position as high as that of the president at this moment, considering the fact that the primary elections is just, a few weeks from now?
You know, there's a process of joining the party and process of giving you a nomination form, and the president can fulfill it within 24 hours by giving him a waiver.
Yes, so...
has the APC said anything like that? You are a member, you're a chieftain, you're an insider, so...
That's what I'm saying. The party cannot come out now because the former president is making some talks behind the saying that which Nigerians have not known, but in the next 24 hours, we'll know the next lines of action of the former president. But visiting the current chairman at his residence, it shows a signal, and purchasing the form at the same day is telling you that...
No, he said he didn't purchase
the form. He's not the one, but a lot of people don't go there to purchase the form themselves. Groups of people purchase the form for them.
In other words, you are validating what the speculations have been, that, look, this purchasing of form by proxy is actually... the politicians were actually doing it themselves through other groups.
Of course, because you see a lot of them...
But some people have expressed shock when they get these forms.
And when they express shocks, other people goes to court and validate that they can contest elections.
No, I'm saying some people, when they buy this form for them, they actually cry, and some of them express real shock. Are you saying they are not shocked?
I don't think an average Nigerian will sit down now and dole out 100 million for an individual who is not interested in the race. We can play games around it. People can pretend about it, but buying a 100 million naira form for an aspirant, you think there's something going on that you won't understand. That is a game of politics. You can buy it tomorrow. We'll know who and who is going to be on the ballot, because submission of the form will determine who are going to be on the ballot. Because a lot of people have purchased the form, and submission of the form and going for the screening will determine who and who is real in the game.
But then there are speculations that the APC is looking towards a consensus candidate. In fact, when the rumor or whatever broke yesterday surrounding the former President Goodluck Jonathan, there's this speculation that the APC's concluding plans to welcome him into the party and even adopt him as a consensus candidate.
Yes.
Is there anything on the table to that effect?
You know, we have processes of nominating a candidate in an election, which has been given by the new Electoral Act and guidelines. We have primaries, direct, indirect, and consensus. And all the options are on the table that we are going to do it in the next few weeks. Anything can happen.
But even if that was the case, why should the APC consider a person that they defeated in an election to come and be a candidate for the party? Why? Like, everyone is asking the question, why Goodluck Jonathan?
Everybody has a winning formula. Each of the political parties are working towards to win election. And a best bet, you can defeat him yesterday and it can be your best bet.
Is this a winning formula being considered by the APC?
It can be, because we want to win election. And we need someone that can help us win election so that we can consolidate.
But you have a lot of chieftains in the party who have been in this party from conception.
Yes, they are.
And they have also indicated
they are qualified. But I'm telling you that the delegates will determine who will help us win election.
So is this, trend of having dozens of people buying the nomination form in hundreds of millions of naira part of the winning formula that we're talking about? We've seen that people, even those that have not declared intention, to run for the office, purchasing forms, for that office. So is this part of the winning formula?
It's telling you that APC is a party to beat in 2023. With the number of people and aspirants showing interest in the party, it has shown that the party has come to stay. Because if you have 100 million, with the current economic reality on ground, you can float another party and do some wonders. But now everybody wants to go to APC because they know that this is the surest way for them to be.
Is it really everybody is going to the APC because they see it as the surest way, or it's a strategy? Is there a strategy surrounding this by the APC?
Leave that one for the politicians. We know what to do best to make sure that we get to the next general election successfully.
Well, when you say that, a lot of people, all that you are saying, your responses seem to validate some of the things that people have been saying about the APC, accumulating resources, ahead of the 2023 elections by using this as a strategy, the whole sales of form and all of that. Do you agree?
Other parties are also doing the same thing. PDP are also doing their own by selling the
But they don't have this number of people vying for the higher seats.
They don't have number of people in the party. The PDP is no longer a party that is fashionable for people to participate. That's why you don't see a lot of number of people participating in the party. But you can see our national chairman said that they want to differentiate the chaffs and the people, serious candidates. And you can see people are still buying the form.
In fact, somebody on social media said the APC, the nomination for those who have bought the form is almost like an admission list at the moment.
Yes, to make sure that you participate and the best among them will come out victorious.
Okay, now, the APC has also released certain guidelines for conditions, rather, not guidelines, conditions for those vying for elective offices, in the 2023 election. For instance, it says that contenders have to be, that contenders have been barred from going to court without first exhausting avenues for redress and ventilation of grievances from within the party. That's one. Secondly, and that aspirants are expected to sign undertakings to accept the outcomes of the shadow polls and support whoever emerges as candidate for the general election. So this does not mean necessarily the primary election, but some of these endorsements that we are seeing, issues of consensus and the likes. And, one other condition is that the ruling party has directed the aspirants to take oaths not to engage in thuggery, anti-party activities, factionalization, and other creation of parallel congresses and the likes. So there are 9 of these conditions, 9 of them, right? Now, one that some find a bit, not very convenient is the one that requires you to make sure that you exhaust all the avenues from within the party to settle grievances. What are the parameters to determine the avenues, that you must exhaust before you can go to court?
You should know that the rules have been there before, but it's not explicitly spelled out like this, because a lot of people go to an election without exhausting avenues. When you participate, there is what they call appeal committees. When you participate in a primary election, for example, there's an appeal committee when you have some issues that rises within that processes of conducting the primaries. You are required to go to the appeal committee, tender your complaints, they will look into it and they will make adjustment or make some solutions to that problem. But a lot of people don't go through those avenues.
So where you go to the appeal committee, and it looks like the appeal committee is it's kind of compromised, and time is not on your side as an aspirant. You need to approach the court as soon as possible to get your judgment. What do you do?
That is politics for you. A lot of people don't feel comfortable whenever it doesn't suit them. You understand? But there are some elections that I can tell you appeal committees have annulled the main elections, where we have situations that the processes due process were not followed during the conduct of the elections. Appeal committee annul some of the elections. But a lot of people don't go, they don't have patience to wait for all these things.
Or they don't have confidence.
Some of them don't have confidence, and they rushly goes to court and makes the party to get involved in all this litigation, to the extent that we lose the elections in so many states due to those issues that even likes of Zamfara. Those are the problems.
So if it were you, you are not confident about a particular committee that have been set up to look into your matter. You are not sure that justice will be, given in your issue, on your matter, on your case. Will you be going to that committee?
I said people don't exhaust this avenue, internal avenues, before going to court. That's what I'm saying. You must exhaust all your internal avenue. Appeal committee, there's another committees that will be set up to make sure that they look into those issues. But because of patience and time frame again, there are some people looking at it that if waiting for this, it will exhaust and you can't get your chance in court. People rush to court even at the process of appeal. And at the end of the day, the party finds itself in a lot of litigations. And that's why the party is scared of. Now, because if you look at, we have a lot of cases right now in the last congresses that was held before this National Working Committee comes on board. There are some states that up till now, we don't have substantive number of the State Working Committee